Second session, and I'll be talking on Compose in the ViewModel, bit controversial topic, but that's fine. I think everyone had a tea, right? And teas and cookies. How was it? All good? How was your experience so far? Anyone wants to share something like, okay, this needs to be corrected, this needs to be done this way. Anyone? Cool, nice. Okay. So. Today I'll be talking on Compose, okay, in the ViewModel. So, okay, so first I'll start with the one question: how many of you don't know Compose? Like everyone knows Compose. Is there anyone who don't know Compose? Can you just raise your hand? Jetpack Compose. Oh, nice man! Everyone knows Compose. Cool. Okay. So. 1 second. Cool. So this is a bit intro about me. I'm Rajesh. I guess some of you knows me. Those who don't know, I have around 7 years of experience, mainly building the mobile applications, especially Android applications, and I have a bit of experience on building the backends as well. But that's a little part. Mainly I work on Android APIs. Apart from that, I do build the open source as well. I'm not a very active contributor in the open source space, but I have some libraries and some tutorials on the GitHub as well. And some of you already knows me, so I write technical contents on LinkedIn as well. And today I'll try to make this session as interactive as possible. Cool. So today we are going to have a look into a few things: the intros, what is a Compose, what we do in a VMs, and what exactly we are going to do. Okay. So let's start with these things. So if you see this, when you heard about the Compose, what comes into your mind? New toolkit for the Android, or some Android UI declarative framework. That's correct as well. And recently JetBrains migrated the Compose to multi-platform as well, right? So it's a multi-platform UI toolkit as well. And some of you, including me, feels that Compose is a better way of building a UI than XML, right? So all of these answers are correct. Now the thing is, should we use a Compose in a ViewModel? Okay, so if you see the ViewModel, MVVM architecture, we have views, ViewModel, and a model, right? And this is how MVVM architecture works. And what we have been taught is Compose is a UI layer, right? So it should reside on the view layer, and then there is your business logics on the ViewModel layer, and there is a model layer. Cool. Now, what I'm proposing, or what we are using currently, is Compose at the ViewModel layer. Okay, and as soon as I talk about using a Compose in a ViewModel, this is what I get. This is what I get. It's a violations of the it's a violations of the MVVM architecture. You should not use a views in the ViewModels. Compose is mainly built for building the UI. Why you are using in a ViewModels? And everything is a bakwas. So what we are going to do is we are going to really understand what exactly is a Compose, and is it a violations of the MVVM or not. So the main things is most people, even including me, like before I got introduced to this concept, I was thinking Compose is a UI library. Okay, it does allows you to build the UI of Android, right? Cool. But essentially the Compose is combinations of the two things. The first thing is a compiler, and including the runtime, and the second part is a UI. So when you include the Compose in your Android projects, you may have seen these things: compose.compiler, compose.runtime, compose.animations, right? So Compose is a collections of the libraries. So Compose essentially is divided into two parts. The one part that deals with the compiler and runtime, another part deals with the UI. Okay, so you can see these are the libraries that you may have seen: this UI, runtimes, and all those things. Cool. So basically, at the core, Compose is general purpose tool for managing a tree of a nodes. Okay, tree means it's a tree data structure, and I guess all of you knows these things. So we have graph data structure, stacks, and queues and trees. Right. So Compose is a data structure that manage a tree of a nodes. Here, nodes could be anything. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be a UI. It could be anything. So what Compose compiler does and runtime is it manages a tree of a nodes. Okay. So based on this concept, there is a two layer. The one layer is the bottom layer, which is a compiler and runtime. On top of it, there is a UI layer. Okay. So the UI layer that is built on top of a compiler and runtime is known as a Jetpack Compose UI. Okay. So Compose is essentially two things: compiler and UI. What we are going to deal with is compiler layer, not the UI layer, because we want to use a Compose in a view model. So we will deal with this, lower level. Cool. So now the second question is what we do in a view model. So all of you may have seen these things. We create a public and private pair of a state flow, right? I guess this is known to everyone, right? Yeah. Is there anyone who don't know what some gibberish things is written here? This state flow, mutable state flow, all of you know. Cool, fine. Nice. So this is what we do. What we do is we maintain a public and private pair of a state flow, and then we generate. Then we have our business logics, like we want to fetch the data from the networks, and then we want to assign the value to the state flow. And as soon as the state flow will get updated, our UI will get updated. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to build the state flow stream using the Compose. Okay, this is essentially what we are going to do. We will build the state flow stream using the Compose, and it is really nice things, as you can see in this meme. I am saying it's nice. You will decide whether it's nice or will it work for you or not. Cool. So now the questions arise is why do we even need these things? Is there really any need? Can we just build it with the normal flows and with the ordinary things that we use in our daily life, right? So yes, you can do it, but when your flow or when your business logic become complex, okay, it will be difficult to maintain these things. For example, if you have a flow and you are applying a multiple operators like combining, GPings, and a whole lot of things, right? Collecting. So it will become difficult to maintain the code. Okay, so the first thing is we want to simplify. Second thing is we want to harness the goodies of the Compose. Compose comes with its own goodies, like you have a launch effect, right? Whenever the key change, the recomposition will happen. You have a state. Compose does offer the powerful state management as well. Cool. So we want to use all of these things to build our business logic. Okay. And for that, what we are going to do is we are going to use a library called a molecule. So molecule is created by Square. Okay. Basically a cache app, a subsidiary. Yes, right. of Square. And Square built the OKHTTP and retrofit as well. So it's a pretty popular name. So from this point, you can guess if this concept is not useful, then why Square would build it? Because Square is a reputed name in Android development, and I guess most of you knows the Jack Walton as well, right? The god in the Android development. So he maintains these things as well. So we are going to build this library. So it's not yet done because along with these things, what we are going to do is basically I'll share two things here. The first thing is how to use Compose to build the business logic, plus the streaming architecture that we currently use at my company. I currently work at the Persona Tech. Some of you know these things, but the streaming architecture that we use at my company, it really works well for us. And thanks to my senior Ankit Salia, God bless him if he is listening. Cool. So this is the architecture that we are going to build. I'll show you the practical as well. Is it visible for everyone? No? Let me try to zoom in. Give me a second. One second, I think I have these things. Now? Now visible? Sahi hai na? Cool, thanks. So what we have is we have an application, and in an application event occurs. Event, matlab, for example, let's say you are building an Instagram home screen. Okay, so what kinds of event occurs there? The first thing is a starting event, where when the user launches the applications, you need to fetch the data from the network. Second thing is user could click on the story, right? So you need to open the story viewer. Another thing is users can click on the user profile, so you need to navigate to user profile. Similarly, like button, comment buttons, and all these things. These are the events, okay? And event occurs. So the architecture we are using is application will generate the events, okay? Application will generate the events, start events, refresh event, some click events, okay? Multiple click events. Then there is a basket called stream signal flow, okay? What it does? It's a kind of a basket. It contains all of the events. Whenever some event occurs, you will throw your event into this bucket. It's a flow. So it's by nature reactive, right? So whenever the event occurs, what you will do is you will throw this event signal into this flow. Okay? Now someone else is monitoring this flow, this process signal. Someone else, you will send the flow to, you will not directly work with these things. You will flow. You will throw your events to, sorry, I'm blocking these. Okay, you will flow to stream signal flow, and someone will observe this flow and they will process it. Okay, once the processing is done, the updated data will be sent to application. So application can react accordingly. For example, I'll try to emulate the things. Let's say you are on the Instagram, and what happens is user click on the story viewer. So your application will send the story view event, okay, application will send the story view event to this stream signal flow. And someone who is observing this flow will get to know that, okay, user clicks on this event. So it will process it, and it knows what I need to do. When the user clicks on the story, it needs to open the story viewer with appropriate data, right? So it will send the updated stream of the data to application. This is what we are essentially going to build with this architecture and using the Compose. Okay, clear up to this points? Any questions, any concern? Oh, yeah. I'll keep asking a whole lot of questions because that's what I do in my courses. Cool. So the theoretical part is done. These are the reference, but that's fine. Just give me a second. Let my studio load. Now I'll first show you the application itself, what it does, and then I'll walk you through what I have done. So basically it's a wallpaper application. What it does is when the application starts, it fetches all the wallpapers. And it has one delete button using which it is fetching the wallpaper. It has one delete button. Once the wallpaper is loaded, you can delete the wallpaper from the list. Okay? Oh my god, it's failing. It's failing because I think I actually forgot that while building this application. And I think you are not a senior Android developer if you don't forget the permission. Cool. Just give me a second. And 1 second. Let me reduce the image size. So I think it can get loaded. Fonts is visible, right, for everyone? Code is visible? Cool. What? Wi-Fi is not connected? Yes. So Wi-Fi is not connected. Just give me a second.
Usual studio things.
Right. Yeah, hold. I don't know why it's not working. It was working actually, because if I hit this endpoint. बाढ़, यस हाँ, बाढ़ ने भी ऐसे ही किया था यार, मतलब ऑन द स्पॉट डेमो के टाइम पे ही फेल हो गया था, तो इट्स लाइक इश्यू है, तो बाढ़ जैसे हो गया.
I think images are loading but failing.
It's failing. So that things you see the logo of the broken image, it's a UI for error. So I can go in, I can log the error views, but I think that will take time. Right. Chale. So basically, essentially, it's nothing. What will happen is it will load the image, and once the image is loaded, you will see one delete button. Okay. So once you click on this delete button, I added it to trigger the delete event. Okay. Okay. So let's start with these things. So UI is actually simple. It's a wallpaper screen, and I think somewhere there is a presentation mode in the studio. Appearance, presentation, nice. Okay, so this is a wallpaper screen. We have a scaffolds, and we have top bars, and we have columns, and we have a wallpaper UI. So basically, what it does, UI is we maintain the UI using a different states, right? Whether it's a loading or whether it's a success or whether is there any error. Okay, so in case of a loading, it will show the loading indicator. In case of a success, it will show these things, and in case of a error, it will show the error view. So let me do one more thing. I just want to show you these things. Into presentation mode, and on the VM side, just give me a second. On the start signal, if I run these things, you will see the loading. Okay, for the 6 seconds, you will see the loading indicator. As you can see, so basically it's a mapping of UI states to the UI. So after the loading, we have a success state. Okay, and once the image is loaded, you will see these things as well. Now what we are going to do is this view model. Our task is mainly in the view model. So in the view model, this wallpaper list that you are seeing into the emulator is a state, right? It's a state, and it's represented by the wallpaper state. Wallpaper state could be either in the loading phase, either in the success phase, or in the error phase. So this stream, okay, that we will expose to UI. This is something we will build with the view model. Okay, now first things we need to do is we need to include the molecule library. Okay, it's coming from the Square. Okay, so you can just search on the molecule Google, and you will be able to find it. Okay. So molecule need a few things. One thing is a clock context and a clock time. Okay, what is a clock context and why do we need these things? So Compose in the internal, what Compose does is it creates its own coroutine scope. I'll tell you one thing. When we launch an animation in a Compose, let's say animate scroll to item, okay, or any animations which need a coroutine scope, do one thing. Try to, instead of creating the scope that Compose provide, for example, remember coroutine scope, right? We use it, right? Instead of using that scope, do one thing. Create your own scope using the coroutine scope function, and try to launch the animation on that scope. So what will happen is your application will crash. Why it will crash? Because the scope that you are creating, it does not have associated frame clock associated with it. Okay, so Compose does these things internally for you. This is a practical way to verify these things. Compose does these things internally for you. So molecule needs this context clock. Okay, so basically it's related to time and frame clock. I'm not going into details, but molecule need these things. Okay, then I define one class called a molecule coroutine scope. Okay, so based on this scope, we will launch a molecule library. So what this library will do, based on our logic, it will create a state flow for us and it will return to us, which we can collect, and then finally we can assign it to the state flow that we are maintaining. Okay, this is what essentially this library does. You can go and have a look at the code. I'll share the repo. Okay, so this is our view model. Okay, view model pretty simple. A public private pair है state flow की. The second thing is I told that it is yes. What we have a stream signal flow. Okay, what it does, it contains the streams. Okay, so we are creating a stream signal flow using a mutable shared flow. Okay, why shared flow? Can anyone tell me the difference between state flow and shared flow? Anyone just raise your hand. State flow and shared flow. What is the difference?
For one of event we use shared flow.
Okay.
And state flow for UI related stuff like.
Can we use the shared flow for UI related events? Shared flow, yes. Multiple observers are available in both of the cases. Right, even you can collect the state flow from the multiple observer.
Latest value emission.
Sorry?
Latest value emission.
Latest value?
The repetitive emission नहीं होते in state flow.
Right, that is one thing. Right, correct. So state flow does implement the sort of distinct until change. So you will only get the latest value and the values are conflated. Right. Another thing is shared flow can keep a list of the values. Right, it can keep the list of the values, and state flow can hold only one value at a time. Right, so shared flow is more sort of a flow का छोटा भाई, but state flow का बड़ा भाई. ठीक है, तो in this hierarchy state flow सबसे अलग है ना? तो it's a hot flow plus it maintains only one value at a time. So our stream signal flow, using this flow, what we want to do is we want to harness this value. Why? I'll tell you why this is shared flow and not state flow, because as this guy mentioned, what's your name, sir? Fakhruddin. Yes, good. So let's say user clicks on the story viewer 2 times. Okay, so we want to send this event 2 times. Okay, state flow won't do these things because values are conflated. So that's why even if you want to share the same value, shared flow can do it. So that's why we are using a mutable shared flow. It is a no buffer capacity, only one, and if the buffer overflow is there, you will drop the value. Okay, this functions is interesting. On what we will do, this is a start functions of the view model, so we will start it as soon as the view model start. So uska matlab, when you launch the Instagram application, you will call the start function on the home screen. Okay, and what it will do, it will set up the stream for you. On the view model, molecule swap, we are calling the setup data stream. Now you see, this data stream is a composable within the view model. Okay, we usually never say these things. So this data stream is a composable function that returns something, right? Now what we will do is we are maintaining what is the current state of the UI. Is it loading? Is it success? Is it error? What is it? And we will remember it. See, what we are doing is we are leveraging the Compose. Compose is a powerful state management. So we have a current state and then we are remembering the value of this state. Initial value is a loading. Okay. Then come to this point. Stream data result from the state. What it does? It use the produce state. Okay. What is a produce state? Produce state is a composable. Okay. Again, goodies of the Compose. It returns an observable snapshot state that produces value over the time without a defined data source. So essentially what it does is if something within this core block, something within this line number 72, if something change and the value is assigned, this value will basically updated. So it's a state, okay? It exposes a state. if इसकी वैल्यू अगर चेंज होती है अंदर तो ये स्टेट चेंज होगा एंड इस स्टेट के बेस पे वी कैन डिराइव few new things. So produce state is there. What it does returns a stream data. Now what is stream data? Stream data should be a data class or class that contains all the necessary data to render your UI. Whether you need a stories, whether you need a post, or you need a list of the post, or you need something else. Basically all the data that you need to render the UI, that should be in the stream data. In our case, we have wallpapers, list of the wallpapers, and the last applied signals. Again, signal is an event. When I say signal, it's an event. Start. Okay. Now what we are doing? We have started, as I mentioned, right? Ki someone will observe this stream signal flow. So within this produce state, we have started collections on this stream signal flow. तो इस फ्लो के अंदर जो भी इवेंट आएगी, जो भी यूआई फेंकेगा, वो इस फ्लो के अंदर आएगी. Initially, it's a mutable shared flow, so shared flow does not need an initial value, right? So we are writing on subscription. On subscription मतलब whenever the flow is initialized, we want to throw something. तो जब भी ये स्टार्ट होगा, we will throw the start signal. Start signal मतलब आपका initial signal कि ठीक है, go and fetch the data from the network. ठीक है? And then we will start collecting it. ठीक है? So now based on these things, we have defined our signals. See, the benefits of this is your events are well defined. Okay, you cannot escape from this event route. You have few. In our case, we have few events. Start event, application can start and we can throw it. Retry event, if something goes on and user clicks on the retry, we will throw this event. And there is another event called a wallpaper remove. When you click on the delete button, this event will be thrown. So your events are well defined. If as a user I am checking what are the operations that this screen does provides, I can just have a look and see it does these things. Okay, so initial signal is a start signal. And if it has if you want to show the loading UI for particular thing, let's say you want to show the loading UI for this and this operation, but not for this, then we can check accordingly and then we will do it. ठीक है. Now what we are doing is we are checking the current signal. If it's a start signal, we are adding 3 seconds delay to simulate the network operation. Then what we are doing is we are calling a functions that will handle the updated stream. What it does is it will go to repository, fetch all the wallpapers. This is basically this will essentially go to the repo. Okay, from the repo it will go and fetch all the wallpapers. Once we have the wallpaper, we will return a stream data. Again, stream data is the data that one mistake on my end. The stream data will be used to build the UI, but not directly. Stream data should contain all the data that you want to use in UI. ठीक है, it will return a stream data. ठीक है. Once it will return a stream data, what will happen is we are assigning this stream data to value. What is a value? Value is a variable provided by the produce state, and whenever the value change, the produce state will emit a new state. ठीक है. तो ये वैल्यू यहाँ पर मैंने अपडेट करी, ऐसे ही ये मेरा स्टेट अपडेट होगा. ठीक है. This state is updated, and all of us knows कि whenever the state update, compose will do recompose. ठीक है. तो मेरा जो इवेंट हैंडलिंग का सारा लॉजिक है वो लिखा है प्रोड्यूस स्टेट के अंदर. I want to handle the start event, I want to handle the retry event, I want to handle the wallpaper removal event. ठीक है. तो I can be sure कि ठीक है, events will be handled here and nowhere else. Once the state is updated, ठीक है, I'll take a pause here. Any questions up to this point? All good? Cool. Don't just nod your hands, for the sake of nodding. Like, okay, ठीक है, बोल रहा है बंदा कुछ पट सही. ठीक है. Here comes the launch events. Okay. So जैसे ही मैंने वो वैल्यू अपडेट करी, the produce state will update the state, and I am monitoring that state value inside a launch event. सो स्टार्ट सिग्नल पे जैसे ही वो वैल्यू अपडेट हुई ये वाली, दिस स्टेट विल गेट अपडेटेड. बेस्ड ऑन दिस स्टेट लॉन्च इफेक्ट के अंदर आई विल राइट माय लॉजिक टू बिल्ड द यूआई. Okay, basically what I am doing, I am getting the current stream data that the signal returned. If it's not null, I will create a new state, okay, called a success state. You can do errors and all those things here, okay. I am creating a new state called a success state, and then what I am doing, I am emitting a new state. What this function does, it simply assigns this state to current state. क्या करता है वो? current state update करता है, ठीक है. तो करंट स्टेट ये है, एंड जैसे ही ये करंट स्टेट अपडेट होगा, यू नो द कंपोज डज प्रोवाइड द रिएक्टिविटी. तो ये रिटर्न स्टेटमेंट क्या करेगा? इट विल मेक फोर्स दिस फंक्शंस टू रिटर्न सम वैल्यू. ओके, सो व्हाट इट विल रिटर्न यूआई स्टेट. तो ये जैसे यूआई स्टेट रिटर्न करेगा, आई एम कलेक्टिंग दैट स्टेट फ्लो. ओके, व्हाट आई एम डूइंग इज आई एम कलेक्टिंग दैट फ्लो. ओके, बेसिकली अगर इसके अंदर आप जाके देखो लॉन्च मॉलिक्यूल के अंदर, तो सी इट्स रिटर्न्स अ स्टेट फ्लो ऑफ अ टी. ओके, सो इट विल रिटर्न अ स्टेट फ्लो. यहां पर मैं यूआई स्टेट रिटर्न कर रहा हूं, बट मॉलिक्यूल विल मेक श्योर कि इट्स स्टेट फ्लो. ओके, एंड आई एम कलेक्टिंग दिस, एंड व्हाटएवर द वैल्यू आई एम गेटिंग, आई एम असाइनिंग इट टू माय ओन वेरिएबल्स. ओके, सो फ्लो विल गेट अपडेटेड, and as soon as this flow will get updated, this UI will get updated, and then accordingly it will be passed down to the UI hierarchy, and my UI will get updated as well. So this is the structure that we use. I mean, ours is a bit complex, but at the fundamental level, this is what we are doing. We are using a streaming structure. Okay, so this is how you use Compose in a view model. And benefits, as I mentioned, you know, all of your events are into a single place, and if see, I think this code is easier to read as well. At the first glance, it might looks a bit complex, but if I know the things, it's easier to understand. ठीक है, all of my events will be handled here. जो भी application में हो रहा है, that will be handled here only. Okay, for example, oh yeah, one more thing. How the application will throw the things to signal flow. Let's say कि delete button UI पे click हुआ, तो वो कैसे handle होगा? Let's say कि on the compose I have this on delete click, okay, on wallpaper remove. Now what it will do? It will call this ViewModel method. ViewModel method, ठीक है, based on the index. What this methods will do? It will, if this method is called, that means it's a guaranteed कि it's a success state. ठीक है, loading और error case में it won't happen. So I am casting this wallpaper value as a success state and then getting the wallpaper ID. Then what I am doing, I am sending this value. यहाँ पर देखो, यहाँ पर delete click हुआ, तो delete event generate होगी, remove event, and that will be sent to stream signal flow. So I am sending this event to stream signal flow. What I am emitting? I am emitting this event, wallpaper removed. Okay, so once the wallpaper removed is emitted, the stream signal flow will get updated, and we are observing the stream signal flow here. Okay, so collection will happen, and यहाँ पर आएगा code flow. ठीक है, तो if the wallpaper is removed, we will what we will do is basically we will remove this wallpaper from the list. Okay, and once we remove this wallpaper, then what will happen is again we will update the stream data. As the value update, this state will get updated. As the state will get updated, launch effect will get triggered, and then we will finally emit the new state. So new state will be collected, and your UI will updated accordingly. Okay, so this is how we use Compose in a view model. The benefits here is all the goodies that Compose provides, be it a remember, be it a mutable state, be it a launch effect, side effect, produce state, or derive state. Basically whatever that this lower level of the Compose does provide from the state management and compiler side. Okay, so this is something you can use to simplify your flow, to keep this thing simple, as well as I think easier to understand. Everything is at one place. Cool. I think That's all, and I'll share the repo link as well. Any specific questions to this? Anyone? Like, should we use these things? Should we not use these things? And why are you doing these things? Any sort of question? Yes, please.
So, how is it different from the MBI architecture that we in the MBI we also have that event, intent, and action thing. So, how is it different from that? Like, at the end, the whole approach of Molecule is that I wanted to make my UI on the basis of intent of the events, right? So, how is it different from that?
Cool.
Second,
Yes, please.
second one was because we are using so many of scopes and things, is it get very hard for testing? Because I might need to do lots of rules, imports and stuff to make this thing testable. Right? And the view model testing might get very difficult.
Okay, nice. So the two questions are, the first is for all those folks, the first question is how it differs from the MVI architecture where we have events and all those things, and second question is related to testing. So the first things I'll clarify is this is not something a new architecture. It does follows the MVVM. So the event should not be considered as a something new. MVI has an event, even the MVVM has an event, right? Event means what? Something happened, right? So if something happens, you are doing something. So as of now, what usually people do is in the view model you have a function, and let's say there is 5 events, you have 5 functions, and within these five functions you will write the code of what to do. Okay? The way we are changing is the functions that you call from the UI is not responsible for doing something. They will just get to know that something happened, and they will pass the control to the stream signal flow. They will throw an event, okay, and then the stream signal flow will be observed to handle the events. So it is not different from MVI in a specific way. It's just MVVM. Okay, I personally haven't tried the MVI myself. I haven't wrote the MVI code, but I think the difference is it's just the same as the difference between MVVM and MVI. Okay, events is just a name I have given, but it's events when something happened. So there is no such different as. Okay, and the second thing is about the complexity of the codes, and there is a lots of a scope and all these things. Yes. So personally, what I believe and what I have felt, because I'll tell you one secret. This company, Personatech, is the company where I felt, joy writing the test cases, because writing the test cases are, tiresome work. So the thing is, once you understand this flow, writing the test cases is equally easy, because what you will get to know is, let's say in the view model, in the view model testing, you want to check the test that okay, something happened, this should happen. What you will do is you will just throw this event. You will just call this view model, so it will throw the event. Now from the application code, you are very sure that okay, this logic will get executed and your state flow will get updated. So you just need two things. You need to throw the event and you just need to monitor the state flow. Nothing else. Okay, just two things. Because the application logic will handle the things for you. If it's right, you will get the right output. If it's wrong, it will get the wrong output. But this way, I think it's a streamline. You just throw the event, monitor the state flow. If it gives you the value as expected, your test gets passed. Otherwise, fails. Does that answer your question? Cool. Thank you. Anyone else? Any more question? Yes, please.
How it will help in case of reusability. Suppose I want to reuse the list that I am using, but if suppose there are more than 10 to 20 events, so that will just whenever user wants to use that developer, so that will increase the size of code for that events.
Okay, so you have a list, you want to reuse only a certain action over that list. Okay, so if I can summarize it this way. You have a list and you want to use it in, say, multiple screen, and some screen has a certain action, other screen has a certain action. Okay. So what you can do is 1 second. Okay. What you can do is we have these things interface segregation, right? So what you do is when you build the first stream, at that time you only include the events that are common for both of the screen. Okay, you define an interface. On the interface you define the streaming function and you write this code yourself. Okay, now whatever the class needs to implement a specific event, you can extend these things. Okay, so your issue is sorted. Only the common things will be included in a common stream, and on whatever the class you want to write it, you can write it as it is. So I think that does solve the issue. Okay. Cool. Thank you everyone, and this is the repo if you want to have a look. Yes, and these are some reference. I took some words from one of the blog posts of the Jack Barton, and this is the repo of the molecule, part of a K-shape, and you can take the screenshot, but anyway we'll be sharing these PPTs in the community groups as well, so you will have access to it. And this is the repo. Basically it's an Android tutorial, so in this repo I have 3 tutorials, and Compose in a ViewModel is one of them. Okay, so you can go and have a look. Cool, thank you. I think it's all good. Thank you everyone for listening and for your patience. Cool, now I think we can plan the next events. Yep.